Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Kuat NV 2.0 here on our 2021 Nissan Kicks. So this is going to be the premier two-bike platform rack that you guys can definitely look at, and there is going to be a lot of reasons. Obviously, it looks pretty good. The Kuat definitely has some style involved, and it even looks better when it's folded up against your vehicle. Now here today it is in gunmetal gray. It also does come available in a metallic black as well. And one thing as well, it does come in the NV base option. Basically, all you're going to be losing is this little guy that we're going to cover near towards the end of the video. It is just a nice little repair stand to have. If you guys aren't quite needing that, and if you want a matte black look on this as well, highly recommend taking a look at that Kuat NV base. But it doesn't just stop at looking good, it does really good as well. You are going to have a 60-pound weight capacity per bike on here, making it well suited for almost any of those mountain bikes that we might be having, and even up into those heavy e-bikes, which is excellent. So 60 pounds is definitely going to be necessary for those big old bikes. And we are also going to have a front tire hold on here. That makes it really easy to go ahead, latch down on that wheel and not be popping off unless we want it to, of course. And what's great about that, obviously, as you can see, that means no frame contact, allowing us to carry our carbon frame bikes on here really, really well as well. And on top of that too, if you do have any women's bikes, step-through bikes, kids bikes that sometimes have an issue with their irregular frames kind of working with a lot of carriers, we don't have to worry about that, right? As long as you have one good front wheel, we're ready to rock and roll. So how does this guy work? Well, of course, of that front tire hold we got going. On the other side here, we have this adjustable cradle. Let me back it up a little bit. And what's nice, I can bring this all the way in close or all the way out wide. Really, really accommodating a variety of different bikes out there, right? So our big old long mountain bike's going to have an okay time hanging off just a little bit on there. And maybe our small BMX or kids bikes that we can bring along every now and then, we can go ahead and shorten that up and make sure that we get them safe and sound as well as to our destination. On the very end of this, on this platform and the other platform, you are going to have a nice little locking cable to go ahead, run around both of your bike, or I'm sorry, each individual bike back onto itself and start securing it, which is really nice. Awesome that you have that capability. And what's kind of nice about having the single line system for each different bike, sometimes those two cables are always a pain to have to run through both frames, so kind of like the option of just having the one securance, which is really cool. But other than that stripping, it's nothing too crazy. You have a little bit of soft padding on the other side to protect your rims, which is nice. Let me go ahead and give you guys a quick little shot of that. Nothing too crazy, but just enough to make sure that we're not having that hard part of contact with our rims. That way we don't have any damage. Now I do like these front tire cradles as well. We have that 18C standard groove, of course, widening out just a little bit for our wider tires. That inside to inside measurement is going to be right about 4.5 inches. Let me go ahead and make that easier for you guys to see at home, just like so. But definitely nothing too crazy. And one thing I'll say, that back strip isn't really well situated for a fat bike or a fat tire bike. So that's the one caveat I'll give you guys with this. Probably not going to be the best option for you in that regards, just because that strip is just a little bit smaller than you're probably looking for. But we can go ahead and shorten this down. One thing that's awesome about the Kuat as well is actually can tilt away from our vehicle while our bikes are on it. We don't have to take it off. All I have to do, simply support my mast here, pull that lever down, and that allows me to tilt this all the way, which is excellent. Now I'm going to have that access I need to go ahead and open up my back hatch here. Now, the one thing I'll say, if you have extremely large handlebars, maybe that could be a cause of concern for us. But again, look at that distance, right? We have our standard. I don't think we're going to have any issues here today, at least on the Kicks, which is great. But that lets me get my coolers, bike helmets, anything else I might need from the inside here. Becomes a nice little spot, too, to go ahead and change, put up your feet, change your shoes, whatever you need to do. In the back here, we have the access to do it, which is really cool. All I have to do to walk this up is, well, walk it up. There's no pins or clips or anything. I don't even have to mess with that lever. It's going to go ahead and lock itself in place, making it pretty hands-free of me, just to walk it up and be sure that it's nice and secure. But before we take our bike off, let's go ahead and see exactly how we're interacting here on the back of our Kicks. Now, we are kind of right in line with our tail light here. So one thing I'll say, that could just start being indicating of maybe we don't want 4 bikes on this guy, because we do have the ability of adding it on. But even as it stands, we have really good distance here. So we're still going to have admittance. People are going to know where we're at. It's just something to kind of keep in mind as you are loading up your bikes. But to go ahead and remove the bikes, all we have to do is simply press in here on our lever. That's going to allow me to take my strip out, allowing us to bring to our last point of contact on our bike. So let's make sure we are holding onto it. We don't want that tilting into our vehicle or ourselves to cause any damage. And we simply need to press in on that button. That lets me take my arm up, out to the side, walk my bike off, and we're all ready to ride. Now mounting it is really straightforward, pretty much the same thing you just saw, but in reverse. The one thing I'll say though, all you need to do, dip that back wheel, catch that strip, and that makes it a lot easier to go ahead and actually ratchet it down there. That way you're not fighting it nearly as much. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my arms here just to go ahead and condense it a little bit. Now, with any hitch-mounted accessory, we have a couple dimensions to keep in mind. First, how long are we adding onto our vehicle? But most importantly, what is our clearance here for the ground? So, from the ground here today to the very end of our carrier, that's going to put us right at 19 inches there from the ground. So, that's a pretty good clearance. Nothing I'm going to be too worried about right away. But just keep in mind, if you do have any very steep inclines that you're going to be approaching, kind of watch it, take it slow. Because as those front wheels go up, the back will go down. And so we are hitch-mounted accessories. But let's go ahead and see how much length we're actually adding here today with our kicks. From the back of the bumper here today to the end of my carrier, that's going to put us right at 30 inches. So definitely not too terrible. Like to see that we're not adding too much length. And we do have a way of shortening that down. We're going to come right back to that lever we were at earlier. And instead of tilting down, I'm going to actually tilt it up into its store position right there. That's going to go ahead and lock in. I like that position as well because I know it's nice and secure. And there's no annoying rattle, much like that you might see from some of those dual arm support hangers, right? No, this is nice and solid. And these guys have a good resistance too. So it takes quite a lot to actually get these guys to move. And we're really not going to have that much road shake. So definitely not going to be worried about that interacting with our vehicle. Let's go ahead and see how much space we shaved down. From the back here today to the very end of our carrier, that's now putting us right at 13 inches. So definitely not too crazy, only about a little bit more than a foot. That's going to be pretty easy to go ahead and pull this in the garage, or at the very least, give ourselves a lot more maneuverability when we want to park it. Moving our way down to the inside though, here you can see we do have a 2-inch shank here today, held in by our 2-inch hitch receiver. On the inside of that, we have our little alignment pin and our locking core, which will also be keyed alike to our each individual locking cables on our platform. So that's really cool. That'll make sure that our carrier stays attached to our vehicle when we leave it unattended. And of course, the NV is not the cheapest guy out there, so love to see that we actually have some protection. And on the end here too, this is where the real magic happens. We have our anti-rattle device. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, of course. And what that's doing basically is pushing a ball on the inside of our shank up against our hitch. And that's basically taking all that shake and play out. And you guys are going to see, as I give this a shake, that's going to shake the entirety of our vehicle, letting us know we're all in line with one system, taking all that shake and play out, making for a nicer, smoother ride for ourselves, our bike rack, but especially our bikes. Overall, the Kuat NV is just an excellent piece of machinery. One last little thing about that anti-rattle as well. You do have a little insert available for your included tool that lets you really cinch it down, and that becomes excellent for those long road trips where you don't want to check that connection point every 50 miles or so. So I do like to see that. That lever is really, really easy to work too as you just walk right up, push it. If you're like us, you don't have a bike stand, nice to go ahead and drop that down and then load up your bike. Again, the Kuat always looks really good here on the back end too. I almost think it looks better than when it's carrying the bikes, which is kind of funny. And we do have that little repair stand that we were talking about earlier. To access that, you have a little lever here. That's going to allow me to tilt this out. And then you can go ahead and kind of bring it up and latch that position again. And that's going to let yourself open this up and do any kind of repairs you need. That way, no bike gets left behind, or, you know, worst case scenario, we show up, we find something's wrong with our bike, we can quickly fix it. That way we're ready to ride. So again, if you don't quite need that repair stand, you know, if you're like, man, I'll just deal with it or I'll find a shop, you could look at that Kuat NV base as an option, just not to have to worry about the hassle of always having this kind of in your way. Overall, though, I think the Kuat NV is just an excellent way of getting your bikes to that destination right. It's got the capacity, it's got the looks, and you know you're getting a nice secure hold on your bike. What more could you want? Well, the one thing I'll say, it is a little pricey. I definitely get that. So if you're looking for something that's not going to break the bank, but that's going to do a great job of actually carrying your bikes as well, highly recommend taking a look at the Rocky Mounts Monorail 2-bike platform rack. That's going to be a nice way of kind of giving you everything you're seeing here, with maybe just saving a little bit for some more other fun features. The only thing with that, though, the extension goes up to 3 bikes, while our NV here can actually go up to 4 bikes. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you're expecting yourself to kind of expand your riding buddies or the family, maybe the NV is the way to go. But other than that, though, guys, I think that about does it for our look here today at the Kuat NV 2.0 here on the back of our 2021 Nissan Kicks. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.